one of the big topics in management and sports and various disciplines these days is trying to be more efficient, being more efficient with time, being more efficient creating processes to get certain results. Yesterday I was listening to a podcast with a writer, and he talked about how trying to be efficient isn't the right approach if you're trying to be creative. Because bursts of creativity are going to happen kind of at a different time and place and process as a more efficient process that can be following a recipe or something like that, where you're trying to create a standard process to do a standard thing. There's a definite outcome, and you have a definite process to get to that outcome, and so you're streamlining that process to get to that outcome quicker. In creativity, there's not a certain outcome that you're looking for. There might be an ultimate, kind of general goal, but for me, it's to finish a book. But how I get to that process and what that book's going to look like at the end is undetermined when I start to write the book. So the creative process might go in a number of different directions. And so it's not about creating this single efficient system to get to a single desired outcome. And so when we look at developing decision makers or creativity in basketball players, this is an important distinction. It's not a matter of trying to make practice more efficient to develop decision-making skills. In some ways, we just have to allow the environment to develop in which a player can develop more creativity or more decision-making skills. So they have to feel safe and secure in that environment, that they're allowed to make mistakes, they're allowed to try new things, and it's not a matter of trying to get this simplified process to get from day one to a certain outcome result on some certain day. For some players it's going to take longer. For some players, it's going to happen quicker. Creativity is going to look different for different players and different situations. And so if we're trying to make these efficient practices, which is what typically is viewed as a good practice, is an efficient use of time, not a lot of mistakes, a lot of order. You can really tell what the coach is trying to do at every single moment in a practice. That's typically how practices are viewed as being good practices or good coaching. But this might not be the best way to develop creativity or decision making. Allowing players the freedom to make mistakes and to try new things, and maybe those things that they're trying are viewed as detrimental. They're throwing behind the back passes, or behind their head, or they're shooting shots that a coach wouldn't necessarily want attempted in a game, especially because when they're starting out with those shots, they're probably not very successful. So there's a lot of mistakes, there's a lot of missed shots, there's passes bouncing off the walls and stuff like this, and so that's viewed as a negative. But if we're going to really develop creativity and decision-making skills, there has to be space where these experiments and exploration can happen. Because if we're never allowing players to explore new skills, and we're never allowing them to experiment with new things, how are we going to develop that creativity? Just being efficient, with our use of time, with our use of drills, keeping everything very orderly is probably not the best way to develop creativity and decision-making skills in players.